Hi. If you've got a few minutes to spare, I'd like to tell you about Homo et Machina, a new journal that spans across all different academic fields and really is an attempt to be as transparent as possible about who creates what ideas. One of the things I've noticed is that people are already using AI, artificial intelligence, and they're using it for all manner of science and academic work. They're using it to build ideas, to edit, to have back and forth dialogues, to try to figure out new things and flesh out ideas. And this very brief talk is about what Unamens is and why I created this new journal. I think it's pretty obvious that the way we do scholarly work is changing. The way we do science is changing. And we don't seem to have caught up with these changes in terms of how we even talk about them. The words we use to describe them don't always feel like they're there. And not only do authors need a way to talk about how they create things, but readers need to know where ideas come from. Idea provenance has been something that humans have cared about all through time. Who creates what, and who gets credit for what? So I don't think the problem is just, do you use AI or do you not use AI? The problem is, how do you describe whether or not you used it and to what degree you've used it? I don't think it's a bad thing to use AI, and I also don't think that it's a technology that we will put back in the box. And so if you were to ask me, Mike, are you laying a bet on this technology existing and staying out? Yes, I'm placing my bet there. And it's not because that's the thing I most want, but that's the thing I most predict moving forward. So Unamens is a journal that allows for publications in really any field. We're open to experts in all different areas. One of our main foci is to make sure that we're transparent about who writes what and who creates what, especially in regards to when humans are working with AI and artificial systems. So we're very interested in how the work was made, and we feel that through this transparency, authors will be able to understand each other's processes, and readers will begin to understand how we're creating science, which is a way to really build trust in academia and science. The big thing that makes our journal different, one is that we allow for AI in bylines, and we also don't ask for, but require contribution records. And that sounds a little firm, but we want to make sure that people are clear and transparent about the work that they do with AI. And we want to be very clear that human accountability still stands. We don't want to give any responsibility over to AI. One of the things I've noticed that our guiding institutions have been doing is they are balling together contribution and credit and responsibility and accountability. Unamens is pulling those apart, and we are saying that AI does contribute and should be given credit for that, but should not be given any responsibility or accountability. So in many ways, we agree with a lot of the models that are out there right now, but we're making a very clear distinction here. We also think that the credit that you give to AI sits on a broad spectrum, and that nuance matters. It matters how well we describe your level of involvement with AI. But I also think it's equally important that responsibility for the science, for the claims, for the editing, all of that stuff is still a human responsibility. How do we make visible your work with AI? Well, we look at and ask you for the different types of roles that you asked AI to play. If you used more than one AI, if you had a team effort, what sort of guardrails did you self-impose on the information that you were getting back? What ideas did you set aside because maybe they were too flowery or didn't match the thing that you were trying to do? We also look for a timeline. How much time did you spend working with AI? And then your final claim is to say you take responsibility. You are the one to carry these ideas forward. Why do we require you to create what we call a human AI collaboration field note? Well, it's because we think that is one of the most important things. Again, going back through human history, we have always asked and been, very curious about idea provenance. Who created what? Who came up with this new interesting thing? And who used that new interesting thing to come up with something else? And I think in modern times, we have to be thoughtful about how we continue to track idea provenance. But I think we can be nuanced about that, and we can think about it in terms of levels of involvement or levels of contribution. And at Una Mens, we've created 4 categories. And probably the most challenging category is the moderate category because it has the fuzziest boundaries. But that said, as we've looked through more and more articles and papers and begun to work with other journals, we see that these categories really are distinctive, and we can place different types of works into each category. The idea is not that if you've done light work that's lesser than central work. The idea is just showing honestly the level of involvement that you had. Sometimes light work with AI can turn into something really good. The editing might have been the key piece that you needed. The way that we record your interactions with AI is we ask you to create an AI collaboration field note. And on our website, we have a template basically that you can move through this. And in some ways, it is asking you to do more work. But it's also asking you to really create another whole document. And if you look at the screen here, we put DOIs on the articles themselves, and then we also put DOIs on our field notes because those are as important. It's not an entirely new piece that you've written, but it is a document that is worth putting a digital object identifier on and bringing into the scientific corpus. So we're not a journal that is a rebel journal. We're not trying to create something completely different. In fact, in many ways, we align with the institutions that are trying to guide people through this new type of publishing and interaction. We still value human responsibility, verification, human accountability, real strong editorial scrutiny, and disclosure of what's going on. But we do differ in important ways. And if you look at the chart here, we really care about giving some manner of credit to machines that are creating ideas, and if only to begin the process of figuring out what ideas are coming from humans, what ideas are coming from machines, and what ideas come from the duet that we create together. So, should you be interested, or if any of this resonated with ideas you've had, feelings you've had about publishing, please take a moment to visit us at Una Mens. I'm Mike. It's been a pleasure to chat.